I have a story. Can we go to story time here? Off the subject? Sort of on the subject. I'm not making light of what's going on with Ja Morant. I'm not. The privilege that we have in professional sports is much more significant than it used to be. In the good old days of yonder, there were commercial flights and Amtrak trains, walking through airports, airport security, all of those things because players were treated as though they were regular people. Then all of a sudden, a little more money got in the game, like with the WNBA, where they're saying there's more money, give us a charter. That's what happened with the NBA, MLB. We want our own rooms on the road, and we want our own planes. Do you know what players don't do on the planes? Put their seatbelts on. You know what they don't do? Unrecline their seats for landing. You know what else they don't do? Go through security. Uh-oh. Does that mean they can bring open containers on a plane? Hell yeah. Does that mean they can bring dope? Do people call it dope? Weed. Ganja. Yep. They can't smoke on the plane. That's one thing. We never allowed cigarette smoking on the plane. Even when cigarette smoking was still allowed on commercial planes, we did not allow it on the team plane. So the players who smoked would have to smoke before getting on the plane and right when they got off the plane. The team bus picks you up at the stadium and it drives right onto the tarmac. You get right on the plane. 2 buses, staff bus, and on the staff bus go broadcasters and players who have wives, if your team lets wives travel. The other bus is all players. 2 ways up the plane, up the back, up the front. I'm talking about the plane, sometimes only up the front, in which case bus 1 goes on first because I want my seat. You have an assigned seat if you're in the staff, coaching staff, executives. The players assign their own seats based on seniority. They decide where they want to sit. There's card tables. Keep food out, catered, Chick-fil-A, some burgers, In-N-Out, various healthy stuff, salads, P.F. Chang's. But then TSA said, I don't think we're too thrilled with players and staff just getting on a plane. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to wand a couple people. It's my favorite. There's a list that is generated because there's a passenger manifest that has everybody flying. Some of the new rules, these tough rules for these charters for teams. Then the traveling secretary gets a list of players that are going to be wanded and a list of staff who are going to be wanded. If I said that, I meant to. Then the traveling secretary goes to the players and says, hey, you were randomly selected. Randomly selected. Guess who we're not going to randomly select? People that we think may have got the weed. They're not looking for weed. They're not looking for alcohol. They're not looking for anything except autographs. And I am not impugning the job that TSA does in the airports. I am not saying that they are not good at their jobs. What I am saying is that security is not exactly TIGHT. It's not like you're sticking the weed pen in your panties. So you get on the plane, you unpack, you sit down, start playing cards, start doing whatever you're doing. The traveling secretary starts walking up and down the aisle, handing out money, some cash sometimes for per diems. Start gambling, eating, playing music. The captain comes on and says, welcome back, boys. Great road trip. Or what I heard most of my career, welcome back, boys. We're almost home. I'm afraid that's not happening much anymore since Ja Morant potentially had a gun on the plane. We had one guy. Wow, I don't think I've ever told anyone this. I must have. Coca, did I tell you the one about the time we were flying out of Canada with the Expos and we were going into the United States and one of the people on the team charter had so many drugs that it actually got caught and we had a major problem that we were able to sweep under the rug by taking care of it. And the way you take care of it, and I don't mean by bribing. We just said, oh, man, that's terrible. That's for pain management. It happens. We actually had to fire the person, I believe. I assume we would have. I think we should have. I remember wanting to fire the person because it held up the plane for like an hour. I was far more annoyed about that than the stupidity of the employee. What could be more stupid than bringing a firearm on a plane? Just asking for the people who've gotten arrested for having a firearm at an airport. Oh, I totally forgot it was in my bag. You should be arrested just for forgetting you had a gun in your bag. This is not about how anti-gun I am. It's about how anti-stupid I am. Is it really possible that Ja Morant had a gun on a team plane? I hope not. Is it possible that he had a gun in a nightclub? Well, that's a funny word. Let's say it better. Ready? 2869. Is it possible that he had a gun in a strip club? A gentleman's club? The NBA's got a situation with Ja Morant that are investigating. They got to figure out they're going to cooperate with the police department in Glendale, Denver, Colorado. They're trying to figure out what happened, trying to figure out whether any gun laws were violated. Meanwhile, Memphis has to figure out how the hell they're going to get him back in the lineup because they need him back in the lineup. The reason they need him back in the lineup is that without him, they have no chance. The teams figured, the Memphis Grizzlies said, we got a problem. They're coordinating with the NBA. You can't suspend a player without going to the NBA first. So they suspended him for 2 games. Then they made it indefinite. Then they said, we're helping him get the help he wants. And then they did what teams do when you've got your superstar with a problem. There's no players-only team meetings or team meetings with your coach and with your president when it's the 12th man who is away from the team. Trust me, never had a team meeting for a problem with a guy who sucks. Always have a team meeting when your superstar has done something. So the Memphis Grizzlies, they have a team meeting trying to figure out what to do. There's rumors about it. Steven Adams, their player on the Grizzlies, apparently talked about wanting more accountability on the road, trying to get players to not misbehave. I'm not exactly sure if he realizes what players do every single night on the road. Every night on the road. I'm sure the Atlanta Hawks went back to their hotel during their last 4 days on South Beach every night at 9 p.m. and went night-night alone after kissing their wife and kids goodnight. Yep, I'm sure that's exactly what happened. How does that team meeting go? Do you think Steven Adams stands up and said, guys, no more brandishing firearms. Let's get our shit together. Let's go. Come on. You don't need a team meeting for that. And if you do, you got a problem with your leadership of your team, either your player or your coach. It's very dangerous to give this much power to players. We talked about it yesterday, and it means more to me today as I thought about it overnight. You invest so much in these players. You want them to care so much, and there they are parting their knickers off on the road and at home, doing things that are inappropriate for anyone. But when you have millions invested and so much is on the line, it's a nightmare. Do you think Ja Morant, you know what we never did? I probably should have done this, Coca. I never went through individual state by state anything other than who charged income tax and who didn't. I never went through the different firearm laws or the different abortion laws. I never went through the different legal age limits. I guess I should have done all that in every state. You know, in Colorado, it is open carry, which, whatever. You know, you can't do it on federal property, or you can't do it while you're drinking. I can't believe you need a law to tell people not to have a gun while they're drunk. I like that. I guess we do need a law.